Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on our findings on the case analysis my team and I have performed on 3M. Members of our team are Bruno De Mello, Leah Weber, Victor Robles, and me, Brandon Bernes. So before we get into the overall analysis of 3M strategy, we want to share the history of 3M. So 3M was founded in 1902 by 5 Minnesota businessmen and was originally named the Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company. The company was originally created to mine conundrum, believing that it was a strong mineral to make grinding wheels. However, they later found out that it was a soft rock, so it would not serve its originally intended use. Because of this, they then decided to enter the sandpaper business, and while their products weren't the best originally, their luck changed down the line. The moment where 3M really started seeing massive success is when the company purchased the rights from a scientist for his invention of waterproof sandpaper. The 3M would then go on to name this product the wet or dry sandpaper. And throughout the history of 3M from that point forward, many of its inventions would be the result of accidents. An example of this is when a 3M scientist, Richard Drew, was working on creating a strong adhesive, but accidentally made a weak adhesive in the process. Drew remembered seeing his car shop clients struggling with running paint and quickly realized that his accident may actually be a product that clients may find useful. Drew was originally reprimanded and told to focus on his original task, but he ignored management's orders and kept creating the product. This ultimately led to the creation of masking tape, a massive success for 3M. And seeing how Drew's disobedience of management's orders resulted in a massively successful product, 3M implemented the 15% rule. The 15% rule allows employees to occasionally ignore management's orders and work on products they believe may benefit clients with 15% of their work hours. So this very flexible take on innovation has allowed the company to constantly come up with new products that serve clients' needs. And in many circumstances, 3M will be working on creating a certain product, accidentally create another product, and give employees the flexibility to continue working on it. So this innovation process is what has led the company to have 112,000 patents. 3M continues innovating and uses existing competencies when available to continue creating and ultimately service customer needs. And now I will pass it over to Leah.
Next, I will go on with the problem statement. And the problems occurred in the Desimon area in 1991. By the late 1990s, his leadership made problems for the company, and in 1998 and 1999, unsatisfied investors sold with the lead to failing stock prices and failing their earning target. Sales were very low and profit margin was highly decreasing and earnings fell by 50%. We came up with 4 reasons why this occurred, and the first one was the bad reaction to the Asian crisis in 1997. The Asian currency dropped by 80% against the US dollar, and 3M generated 1/3 of their sales from the Asian market but didn't reduce costs fast enough. The lowered currency value made Asian products much cheaper compared to European and US American products. The second problem was that 3M did not introduce any new innovative products since the Post-it notes, and most of the new products in the 1990s were only improvements of the already existing products. As a next problem, we found out that Simon did not manage to reduce costs early enough, and he did not make any process by 1998. And as a last one, there was an issue of internal concerns. So 3M employees sent anonymous letters to the board of directors complaining about his leadership, that he was not focused on research enough, that there was a lack of important project concerning the future growth, and he was not enough concentrated on the cost reduction. Moreover, the company's dual career track was not implemented well, and the technical workers were underpaid. He is also supposed to be very slow in decision making, especially when it comes to strategic decision making process. And for example, at the restructuring plan in 1998, the senior manager suggested a job cut by 10,000 jobs, and D. Simon only cut 4,500 jobs.
We will now take a look at 3M's SWOT analysis. Starting with strengths, 3M places a huge emphasis on their R&D team. With over 9% of their employees being scientists and researchers, 3M is constantly creating new products to add to their lines and sell to their customers. They have over 55,000 different products, making 3M having one of the most diversified portfolios. About 60% of their profit comes from outside the United States, creating a very strong brand name for 3M. They also have a great relationship with their suppliers, allowing them to overcome any major issues in the supply chain. Now for weaknesses, the majority of the products that 3M creates tend to phase out quickly. For example, in the 1990s, too many projects caused R&D resources to be spread out too thinly over a wide range of opportunities, resulting in potential major projects to be underfunded. 3M's days inventory is also higher than its competitors. For opportunities, with the right technology and innovators working at the company, 3M has the potential for growth in emerging and new markets. They also can make acquisitions in order to strengthen the existing businesses they already have. 3M already operates in over 70 countries, therefore having the opportunity to spread their business model in even more countries. For threats, as time progresses and more businesses enter the markets that 3M is in, it can be hard to keep up with the innovation that this company prides themselves in. Many of 3M products are easy imitable, making it difficult to constantly maintain a competitive advantage against competitors. Furthermore, as the price of raw materials continue to increase, this can pose a threat to 3M's profitability. We will now take a look at about the major departments that make up 3M's functional level strategy. For the R&D, the company commits 6% of its revenues to R&D, and 8,100 of the 91,000 employees are scientists and researchers. For human resources and management, the employee stock purchase plan was created in the 1950s. 3M leaders thought by giving their employees incentives to have a stake in the company, they'd be more likely to stay loyal. They also believe in promoting from within the company. 3M prides itself in diversity inclusion, and in 2017 was voted the DEI Best Place to Work for Disabled People. For marketing, while their budget might not be as high as some of their competitors, they focus a lot on having shelf space in stores so customers can always be looking at their products. 3M also uses a lot of user-generated content to promote their products. For information system, there is an e-productivity to manage information within company and between company suppliers and customers. And also the health information system was created over 35 years ago and is now the most widely used medical coding software in the world with more than 300 active industry and technology partners. Moving on to our value chain analysis, starting with the support activities, we have infrastructure, which is a heavy emphasis on R&D, management, strong leadership, finance, and employee stock purchase plan. For human resources management, we have the benefit plan that was created to increase employee development, also a huge emphasis on increasing diversity and inclusion. For technology development, 3M created the first ThermoFax copier. There's also a periodic table of technology platforms that I will show you here. These are just a few of the many products that 3M has created. For procurement, we have supply chain excellence product and an e-productivity program. Now moving on to primary activities, we have the inbound logistics of the fact that high quality inputs make high quality products. For operations, there's flexible manufacturing and a wide range of products. For outbound logistics, we have products sold at a wide variety of stores and also maintaining a timely delivery. For marketing and sales, there is a brand reputation through advertising and through its global place. For services, we have high quality technical assistance and quick repairs. And finally, we'll be looking at the business level strategy. 3M maintains a differentiation strategy for the most part, as they have a wide variety of products to match unique needs of customers. They are constantly innovating new products with things such as the 15% rule and the 25-5 rule. While for the most part, 3M is a differentiation strategy, they also use a low-cost strategy. 3M serves the needs of niche market segments while maintaining affordability and targeting businesses and middle-class consumers. They also make sure that they have affordability and accessibility globally. So 3M uses both a differentiation strategy and a low-cost strategy.
Next, I'm gonna talk about the corporate level strategy of 3M. And 3M is a leader in innovation and has been for over 100 years since their first product of sandpaper 3M has innovated from one industry to another over time, having developed products including visual graphics, highway road signs, liquid crystal display screens, no paper, and electronic communication. Therefore, 3M has set a great example on how to sustain innovation and maintain growth over time. Their corporate values that achieve innovation highly concentrate on the good of their employees, and their organizational structure encourages and promotes every single worker to come up with new innovative ideas. Now I want to show you the global strategy, and the international sales began to increase in the 1929 when 3M decided to become a member of the Durex Corporation. And when they have broke up in 1951, it happened to be one of the most significant turning points in the history of 3M, since they were forced to build its own international operation. The firm managed to increase their international sales to 63% of total revenue by 2010. And in 1952, Clarence St. Pierre got responsible for the international operations. He implemented that foreign ventures paid on their own, and international companies had to pay off 5 to 10% royalty to the corporate head office. 3M took a few steps in order to achieve international growth. During the first step, they started with exporting to foreign countries. Hereby, it was very important to gain a greater understanding of the country's marketplace and the business environment. As a second step, 3M built warehouses in every country and stored goods paid in the local currency. Next, they adjusted product sizes and packaging to local market conditions. And in the last step, 3M planned and built the plants and acquired the necessary machines in order to get started with the production. Starting in 1980, research and development was conducted in the plants outside of the US. As another important step, 3M founded the Pathfinder program in 1978 with the aim of encouraging new products and business innovation in foreign countries. After 5 years, their products were generating over $150 million a year. And by the end of the 90s, we can say that 3M transformed into a transnational organization with a network of businesses that expanded the globe.
Innovation is where 3M really shines. The company has many programs and initiatives directed to continuing their historical culture of innovation. And the first way they motivate innovation is by setting ambitious growth goals that require new products in order to be achieved. For example, 3M has established a 10% annual increase in sales target, a 25% profit target, and they also currently reinvest 6% of sales to R&D each year. 3M only reinvested 5% of their sales back into R&D in the past, but CEO Inge Thulin increased the amount to 6%, providing more millions of dollars to fund new products. Another innovation strategy is their 15% rule, which, as we have already mentioned before, has been key in the creation of new products. And another innovation strategy is their patient money principle. What this refers to is management's willingness to make long-term investments in their products and recognize that ideas may not become profitable until later on. So 3M has noticed that projects that are overfunded and rushed are often not successful. So now they play the long game until one of their 15% rule products takes form and comes to market. In addition, 3M has a formal innovation process involving a team of scouts, entrepreneurs, and implementers. Scouts look for problems 3M could potentially solve, and they brainstorm ideas. Entrepreneurs then build prototypes for these ideas, and implementers perfects the prototype and prepares it for market. And lastly, 3M has hundreds of programs that reward innovation. So now we're going to briefly go over the structure of 3M. In 1948, William McKnight made the bold decision of splitting 3M into product divisions, resulting in a decentralized structure. This structure fits perfectly with the company's innovation culture and allows each division to be autonomous, powerful, and have plenty of resources to pursue projects. The company essentially adopted a divide and grow philosophy, meaning that when a product division gets too large, it splits off into a new one and continues the growth cycle. However, certain key functions remain centralized, such as R&D, HR, and finance. And now 3M has always been committed to solving issues, so it's only natural that 3M takes sustainability and social responsibility very seriously. And in fact, the company established the Pollution Prevention PACE program in 1975, way before most companies even were thinking about sustainability. And 3M has continued this trend and takes social responsibility very seriously. And regarding ethics, 3M was actually recognized in 2018 as one of the world's most ethical companies in the world. So now I will pass it over to Victor.
Now we'll be taking a look at the financial health of 3M. In order to determine the health and recommendations moving forward, it is important to identify 3M's debt to equity ratio, price earnings ratio, return on equity, quick ratio, and the annual change in stock price. To forecast these models, we'll be taking a look at some financial statements from the years 2014 to 2018. First off, the debt to equity ratio helps evaluate 3M's financial leverage and is an important metric in measuring the financing of its operations through debt or wholly owned funds. This specific ratio compares a company's total liabilities against its shareholders' equity. After obtaining the debt to equity ratios from the years 2014 and 2018, we can see the continuous increase from 1.37 in 2014 to 2.71 in 2018. This is associated with how much leverage 3M is using. This can be a result of 3M taking on too many projects while using debt to finance those projects. Although this seems relatively high, 3M still maintains a high market share in their respective markets. As you can see in the graph, these higher level ratios might indicate a stock with higher risk to shareholders. However, this also conveys a more aggressive strategy to finance its growth and operations in the future. Second, we'll take a look at the price to earnings or PE ratio. The PE ratio is measured by comparing 3M's share price relative to its earnings per share. This ratio helps determine a company's growth rate in the future and whether or not its stock is being undervalued or overvalued. A higher PE ratio suggests that investors should expect higher earnings growth in the future relative to a company with a lower one. If we take a look at the PE ratio of Office Depot, one of 3M's competitors, we can see that they trailed behind 3M in every year except 2015. When compared to Office Depot in 2018, 3M has a PE of 19.37 against Office Depot's PE of 12.82. Investors can expect 3M to have higher earnings growth in the future compared to Office Depot. In principle, this is what the PE ratio values the company at, but in today's market, it should not be the sole reason for an investor to pursue. Next, we will take a look at 3M's return on equity, or ROE. The ROE ratio gauges a company's profitability and efficiency in generating profits by dividing net income by shareholders' equity. 3M's ROE maintained a steady increase throughout 2014 to 2018, with a 14% drop from 2016 to 2017. This comes as a result from increasing debt or shrinking equity. Compared to the industry average, 3M has maintained a higher average by at least 4% throughout 2014 to 2018. As you can see in the graph, ROE has increased throughout these 5 years, even with a slight dip in 2017. Next, we'll take a look at 3M's quick ratio. The quick ratio is obtained by subtracting inventories from current assets, then dividing that by current liabilities. This ratio helps indicate a company's short-term liquidity position, and it also measures 3M's ability to meet its short-term obligations with its liquid assets. This is an important ratio because, as we all know, a company cannot be profitable long-term if it cannot meet its short-term obligations. Although this is considered a more conservative approach than the current ratio, it still tells us a lot about 3M's financial health. The higher the quick ratio, the better. But as you can see in the graph, there has been a gradual decrease over the last few years due to an increase in liabilities or short-term debt. This can be a result of 3M taking on projects that have reduced their ability to generate cash. Last, we will take a look at 3M's annual change in stock price. As you can see in the graph, 3M stock was having a gradual increase until a huge surge of about 35% in 2017. According to data from the S&P Global Market Intelligence in 2017, 3M reported a third quarter revenue spike of about 6% and a net income increase of 8.4%. These increases were due to a higher demand for electronic related items in Asia. Very few companies have exposure in nearly every major industry, and the rise in demand drastically benefited 3M stock. In order to improve company strategy and its competitive position, 3M should invest more money in research and development. 3M's intellectual property and genius scientists have made it a staple company in its respective industry for over a century. Another recommendation would be to acquire smaller companies that are leading their markets in research and development. 3M can integrate these companies successfully with their prominent scientists and brand loyalty. Thulin, in his time as CEO, increased the amount of sales reinvested to research and development from 5 to 6%. But we think that 3M should consider increasing it to 7% so that they may avert the risk of impeding their innovation rate. 3M can execute this course of action by spreading their R&D too thin so that they can get the most out of their innovation strategy. 3M can also implement a plan to integrate these various departments so that they may cut excess costs and improve overall. If 3M is struggling in international markets, they should look to form a strategic alliance with a foreign company to bring together skills and assets that they would struggle to develop alone. The only disadvantage that this could bring is giving competitors a low-cost route of information and technology that they would not be able to obtain themselves. Overall, we recommend that buying 3M is a safe investment. Their retained brand loyalty and innovation has made a name for themselves for over a century, and they are constantly developing and innovating new products that will continue to improve the company as a whole.